We continue learning Kitzur Yomi. We're in Perek Hey, in the middle of the discussion. How careful we have to be about saya and other unclean items around us at the shas of a bracha. We pick it up from Sif Tes. We're going to take it from Sif Tes till Sif Tes Zayin. Says the Kitzur Bayish Misalim by Sibur, a house or a room in which the Sibur is davening. V'nimsa Shamsaya, and Saya was found. Aval B'Shiachayri Hashtech Sibur, it's behind. And the Ruchamen Yosem Ervah Amos Makshal Kol Areach, he didn't smell anything. It was Dalat Amos away. Mikol Makom Sarchu Lishtoik Ulahamtin. The Sibur should stop and wait until what? Ad Shetziu or Chasu, until it's taken out or covered. Mimnei. Why? Because someone's going to be within Dalat Amos. Mimaksh Kol Areach. And you can listen and you can't be machavein to that which the Shliach Tzibur says, and therefore you have to remove it. In note 39 here, they point out that during Pesukei Zimra, where there's no Tzibur responding, then you don't have to stop in the middle as long as you're not within Dalat Amos, and then you could just remove it. Sif Yon Mishes Baal Matzach Shisham Saya, you daven and you find Saya within Dalat Amos where you were. If it was a safeh, if it was a place that you should have been suspectful, and you were negligent, then carbon is like a carbon. And again, the one case that we could have is if, let's say, someone's davening b'yechidus in their house, and he should have, there's children around, maybe it was a matzav, he should have looked if there was a dirty diaper, and he didn't, that would be a case in which perhaps this would be relevant. Again, avallo brachas, not brachas kishma. Even benching, which is a deraisa, still, you don't go back due to the suffix whether you're pesher or not. If it wasn't a place you should have been suspectful, you were negligent. If there was a miraglayim there. A case which certainly can be relevant. So when he passes gas, it's talking about the person himself. So if someone is in the middle of davening or learning, and he passes gas, he has to wait until the smell disappears. But let's say the guy next to him passed gas, but only when but if you're learning, you don't. So if one is in the middle of davening Shema, and you have a bad smell, then you have to wait for the smell to stop. But if someone is in the middle of learning, then you do not. No 47 points out from the Mishnah Berurah. The reason is we don't want bittul Torah. We don't want to have to stop learning. And then 47 points out as well regarding Shema. You have to distance yourself from the smell. Beisaki say, there are mechitas in the road. They are still sarich laharchim. You have to distance yourself from it. Meaning the room itself has a stigma of a makoy mitunaf, and if you can't daven by it, no 48 points out for Moshe Feinstein. Our bathrooms might not. Obviously, there's a higher level of cleanliness. Ulachein. Safsel asim and ekev asida has a hole in the middle. Shamidim dachtav graf lefanis alav. That there's a chamber pot to use the bathroom, and after you remove the chamber pot, and you cover it up. But you have to remove from the house. Again, whether our bathrooms have this in or not, definitely there is a makom to be makel, but a toilet training, a potty would have such a din if it's used for those who use for real tzaya, even if it's clean. It has a stigma, therefore it has to be removed or completely covered. If it's a regular chair, and as a cushion, you remove the cushion, use it for the bathroom, perhaps some sort of older people's seat, that you could remove the chair and you could put a chamber pot underneath or something like that. Say if your gimel grab shall read the actual pav of shamir gleimer urinal imim shall cheres shall eat. Didn't come say kisei. Why? Val bishin the kim in the rech rafilu nasach amayim Moshe kavan al piyim. You put in water in it or you turn them over. Lo mahani filu nasach samit put under the bed. Lo mahani divit shalanu in chaytzait. So l'haytzim and abayis so lekasayis. And again, we're going a little bit faster because it's not so relevant. Ve'imim shall matachas chuches. If they're made out of metal or glass, which that might be relevant with some medical supplies or a potty or something like that. No 55 points out. A catheter has different dinim. Ayin sham. Piach hazir, the mouth of a pig. But sayab sticks its head into filth. Didn't grab sharev. Even when the pig comes out of the river. I guess, I don't know, you're by the zoo, don't say Shema opposite the pigs. But these Americans gam keen in a bathhouse. Now let to think or talk to Varm Shebek Dusha of also let's go Shem and Baruch can't say Hashem's name of Vilu Blush and Chol. Kigon Gut Blush in Ashkenaz or God in English. I book a blush and Palim Verosia. Base Americans and Vuas Atanafais in a bathhouse or somewhere filthy. You can't say Shalom to your friend. Shalom is Shema Shal Kadosh Baruch Hu Shem V'Yikrulai Hashem Shalom. V'Adam Shemai Shalom V'Yish Aisim L'Kos Hashem Shemai. Some say you shouldn't call him by his name V'Yish Matirim Kishin Mechaven Al Inyan Shalom. El Askar Shemai Shalos Adam. You're just thinking about the person. You're not thinking about Hakadosh Baruch Hu. V'Chein Ogen L'Hakel V'Yishmayim Rayu L'Lahachmir. And again, where could this potentially be relevant? Beis HaMerchatz could be in a mikvah, in a proper bathhouse, in the area where one is bathing. One, it is usher to think and speak dvarim shebikdusha. Again, how far this applies nowadays that it's a makom mitunaf is not so simple. Certainly a point of discussion amongst the paiskim. Siftes vavas davar kedusha keneged ervah. So now we get something which is certainly relevant. One cannot talk. One cannot even, asle daber. And Note 60 points out this is in contrast to thinking Dvarim Shebikdusha. Thinking Dvarim Shebikdusha would be mutter keneged erva. Only talking is aser neged erva. Bein shaloi, bein shal acher. Whether it's one's own erva or whether someone else's, even a guy, even a child, that you're not allowed to speak Dvarim Shebikdusha. This could be if someone's in a public place and there's someone undressed and parts of his Mekamais HaMechusim, as we're about to see, are covered up, then one would not be allowed to say Dvarim Shebikdusha. But continues the Kitzur, the Rak, L'tzarech mitzvahs mila, but L'varech neged ervas tinik, you have the baby in front of you, you still make the bracha. Even if you close your eyes, loy mahani kimishu neg doi, since the erva is opposite you. Very important. You have to turn away. Someone's on a subway. Someone's on an airplane. Someone's in any public place that there might be a mekaymis mechusim. There might be a covered area. There might be an erva in front of him. As we're about to see in the next sif how far this goes. Just closing your eyes is not enough. You have to turn away your face. So now let's look sif design. With this we conclude. What is considered an actual erva? The body of a woman is any place which is normally covered. Any place which has to be covered. Lehalacha. Note 66 points out, which is the arms to the elbow, the legs to the knee, or any other part of anything beyond that is considered erva. In this galasham shir tefach, this is a tefach 3 to 4 inches uncovered. And similarly, says the Kitzur, the hair of a married woman, which is usually covered. Now, that's going to be, Mr. Brewer says, irrelevant to the minhagim. It's going to be considered an erva. Now, Note 68 points out, for this erva, you could close your eyes. This is a bit of a machlekes. There's a famous Aruch Shulchan that says maybe hair is different. In this galaxas mehem chashikmo erva ligabe ish. Note 69 points out, according to Ramesha, you cannot daven facing a married woman's uncovered hair, only if it's larger than a tefach. However, other parts of the body, it's even the slightest exposure. So again, let's go back to the case, like we said, you're on the subway, you're on a plane, and there's someone that their arms are showing, a leg is showing. You're not allowed to say Dvarim Shebikdusha, you're not allowed to talk words of Torah Opposite them, even one's own wife, one cannot say Dvarim Shebekdusha opposite an uncovered area of the body. Note 70 over here points out, very importantly, I'm sorry, we just lost that. Note 70 here points out, very importantly, that even when it comes to a married or unmarried woman, has no difference only with regard to the hair, which of course only applies to a married woman. Says, note 70 points out, the Ramah in Ayin Hay says, a woman who's not the wife is considered an Ervah, but a minimal amount, you could close your eyes, leg. Okay, it's getting into some nuances, but the point of the story is that any form of Ervah, you can't say Dvarim Shebekdusha. Aval gabi isha lo chashiva k'may Ervah, aval gabi isha lo chashiva k'may Ervah, but these are not for another woman. One woman in front of another woman would not be considered an Ervah. One more important note, note 71 points out. It should be noted that the Allah says only with Ervah with regards to mercy reciting sacred text. However, even if not an Ervah for that, it is not necessarily modest. It's not el-chasniyas. Point out very importantly, just telling you when you're allowed to say Dvarim Shebekdusha. Call Zem Rish the voice of a receiving chashik k'moy gamkin k'moy Ervah. Nothing you could do about it. Try to your heart to direct your attention like and that would be a case if there's music on a public setting. So the opposite, you should try to daven, try to say Dvarim Shebekdusha aloud in those areas. So very important halachas that we're learning today. Anytime one is going to be in an area in which there might be Dvarim Shel Ervah, does not just help to close your eyes, you have to make sure to look away.